Kia ora students, today we are going to learn how to make an equation of a line from your graph to determine what is the relationship between your independent variable, in this case the volume of liquid, and the dependent variable, the mass of liquid. So you've already drawn a graph. Your graph should have an even scale on the y-axis and an even scale on the x-axis. These two scales don't need to be the same, but they do need to be evenly distributed. Okay, you've also plotted your points. Hopefully you've used little x's rather than dots, and you've drawn a line of best fit through the center of those points. So the points should be evenly distributed on both sides of the line. Now, when you have drawn your line, you must make sure that it extends right through the y-axis. This is so that we can determine something called the intercept. The intercept is where the line hits the y-axis. In this case, the intercept is about 5. And the letter we're going to use to denote the intercept is C. So I'm going to write down C equals 5. Now, does C have a unit of measurement? Yes, it does. C is the unit of measurement for C is the same as the unit of measurement for our dependent variable on the y-axis. So it is going to be mass in grams. So C is 5 grams. Okay. Now, once you've got that done, we've now got to look at forming the other parts of our equation. And the equation of the line is denoted by y equals m multiplied by x plus c. This little dot means multiplied by. You see that a lot in science and maths. Y refers to the y-axis variable, in this case mass. X refers to the x-axis variable, in this case the volume. Now, m is different. M is the gradient or slope of the line. So we could have a steep slope, or we can have a shallow slope. Okay, and the value for m will tell us if it's steep or slow or shallow. If it's a big number, it means it's a steep slope. If it's a small number, it means it's a shallow slope. Okay, so how do we calculate m? To calculate m, we're going to pick two random numbers on the y-axis. So I'm going to go with 250. And we draw a line across to our line of best fit. Do not draw lines over to points. Draw lines to the best fit line. And I'm going to choose this number here, which is 800. Okay, so these are going to be my two y values. I'm going to call this bottom one y1 and this top one y2. Now what I want to do next is find the corresponding x values. So I say, well, y1 comes across and meets the line here. What's the corresponding x value? I draw a line straight down here to the x. Okay, and this is going to be x1. I now do the same for my y2. So I make sure that the ruler is vertical. Look at the lines on the paper. This is why we use graph paper. Okay, and I draw down. All right. Now, that is x2. To find out the slope, I need to take this distance and divide it by this distance. So I take y2 and I subtract y1. I take x2 and I subtract x1. And this will give me m, the slope. So this is equal to 800 minus 250 divided by 777 minus 258. Now we'll go 257, make it easy. So this equals 550 divided by 520. Okay, which equals, I'll do the maths, just gonna whip out my calculator, and it equals 550 divided by 520 equals 1070. That's not right, is it? It's 1.07. So this is 1.07. So my slope is 1.07. Right, now you might say, well, what is the unit of measurement for the slope? Well, when we calculated the slope, it was m equals the change in y divided by the change in x. So the slope measurement, units of measurement are going to be the units of measurement for y, which is grams, divided by the units of measurement for x, which is milliliters, which equals grams per milliliter. Divided by means per. So the units of measurements are grams per milliliter. So our slope m is 1.07 grams per milliliter. Okay, 1.07 grams per milliliter. I'm going to put a box around that. I'm going to put a box around that. Now, let's put the final equation together. Y equals mx plus c. What is y? Y is the mass of the liquid in grams, equals the slope, which is 1.07 grams per milliliter, multiplied by the x value, which is the volume in milliliters, plus my c value, which was 5 grams. All right, now I've got my equation for the line. I'm going to put a box around there. That is the end. What I might ask you to do is to say, if I had 950 grams of the liquid, what would be the volume? Or if I had 1.5 liters, or 1,500 milliliters of volume, what would be the mass? And we can put those things into this equation to figure it out. Will we do a quick example? Quick example down here. Okay, if I say to you, what would be my mass if the volume was 1,500 milliliters? The mass in grams will equal 1.07 multiplied by 1,500 milliliters plus 5 grams. Don't forget your bed mass. Always do your multiplication before the addition. So if I put that into my calculator, it is 1.07 multiplied by 1,500 equals plus 5 is 1,610. So the mass would be 1.610 kilograms. Okay, which is 1,610 grams. So that is why mathematicians, scientists, and engineers use this technique. This is very important. So it's something that you should learn. And if you've got any questions about how to do this, please get in touch with me and I'll clarify it a bit further for you.